he was still in the middle of filming, and I was trying to, thinking I was going to go back to my next novel, I guess. And I remember getting a very mysterious text from him where he said, "Hey, I think I got something for us to do next. Like, what are you doing with the next year, haha, as it turned out, of your life?"
Something I've been really interested in when I've been reading about your kind of journey to making the show. I love the show. I'm from London. The original show was like a kind of cult hit. And you saw the show when it came out, and you've been kind of on this journey since then to remake it. I would love to know a little bit more about that and kind of what spoke to you so much about it.
I saw it back in 2013, and Fincher and I were doing Gone Girl still. He was still in the middle of filming, and I was trying to, thinking I was going to go back to my next novel, I guess. And I remember getting a very mysterious text from him where he said, "Hey, I think I got something for us to do next. Like, what are you doing with the next year, haha, as it turned out, of your life?" I was like, "What is it?" And he said, "Come to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, where we were filming it, and we'll talk." And so I drove all the way down to set, rented a big Dodge Charger convertible, made a road trip out of it, and we talked about it. And I loved the show, and we were gonna, he was gonna direct every episode, and I'd write every episode and keep the band together, basically. And just as things happen, things are, they're hard to get made, and we'd get close, and then not quite happen. And then I ended up finding a home at Amazon, and feel very lucky to have landed there.
The original show is just such a massive cult thing in England, but in America, it kind of ironically exists in the same space as the Utopia comic. Most people have never heard of it, or they've kind of heard rumors or whispers. Had you come across the show before being approached for this reimagining?
I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it. But then when Gillian told me she wanted to redo it, I didn't want to watch it because I didn't want to have any preconceived notions of what it was, and I wanted to just sort of read it as it was. And she was obviously very rigorous and bright about it, which she knew that it was a very beloved show in England. So there was no reason for her to do it unless she was adding something to it new. And so she added the Christie Corporation and Michael Stearns, and that overlapped with the original English version, but added an entire new dimension and element to the story. She had to bring something new to it. So I hope that the fans of the British show feel that way.
Jessica Hyde is really important in the first show, but she's more of a puzzle piece. And something that I think Gillian and you did so amazingly here is like, here she is like the lead, and like she's so rad. What was it like for you to kind of get to be this complex, far from kind of the one note badass action women we usually get to have this really human journey that's also totally brutal and visceral? And
it's so different in multiple ways, because one, you don't get to say that she's a villain. You don't get to call her something right off the bat. There are so many layers, and there's things that you start to discover that make you go, okay, she can kill and she can do this, and she is freaking cold and she's straight up mean, but also there is so many reasons why she's doing what she's doing. She also is very consistent and passionate about her mission, and she doesn't care how you think about her or any of those things. She has her mission. And as far as even costume, I said from the jump, I refuse to wear stiff, black boots and a leather jacket and tight jeans. I've been on the run since I was 9 years old. I live on the streets. If I'm going to find clothing and pick it up quick because time is of the essence, it's going to be big shirts. It's going to be, your 8-year-old sister kind of ripped sweater that you use to like bandage your arm. She is real, she became real, and she put a stamp on that. And she is a badass character, but she has multiple layers, and you start to really be like, I feel it. I understand. I get why she did what she did. And, that everything is basically her energy and, her mission, and how she looks, and how she looks in terms of looks at you and her reaction. And there's so much more than just like, oh, cool, I'm like the hero and good doing it. Like, no, yeah.
I had heard about it years ago, just through the grapevine, and people were really excited about the original Utopia. And then I was offered this, and I kind of made a conscious decision I'm not going to watch it, and maybe I'll watch it now that we've kind of finished the show, but I didn't want to be influenced. I also knew that my character didn't exist in the British version. So, but I'm really thrilled to be giving another crack at an adaptation of a British show for an American audience. And I think audiences are going to dig this as much as they dug The Office.
That's kind of really interesting because Dr. Mike, like you said, he doesn't exist. But for me, he was one of the kind of most interesting parts of the new show. He has this really human, relatable arc, even though he might not seem like the kind of normal in character. And without kind of spoiling too much, what was it like for you kind of crafting this character who has such a broad arc that kind of every episode you have to reveal something new?
You hit it on the head just with the question. This character starts as a nobody, a loser, underfunded, underappreciated nobody scientist in a basement. And over the course of the episodes, he's thrust in onto the world stage. And so, and a lot of stuff happens along the way. So it's an incredible trajectory for Dr. Michael Stearns. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to play with the character.
Something that I guess must have been really strange over that period is by the time the show comes out now, it is kind of echoing and reflecting a lot of real world stuff in a much more kind of visceral way, whether it's the pandemic or conspiracies. What's that been like as a creator, kind of that journey, but also now, even after finishing it and then seeing how 2020 has gone and knowing the show is going to come out in the wake of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, to have to kind of update it or change it as world events were happening, or to find certain interesting things I wanted to work in the story. Certainly, even in the past 7 years, the rise of truth versus false, fiction versus facts, spin versus reality has become so dramatic and so world influencing that, to me, that became something I played with. It was something I was interested to begin with, and then began playing with even more, that idea of, if we all believe in whatever truth suits us, if we all believe in conspiracies, we're putting ourselves at a very real risk of being manipulated by forces that we would not want to be manipulated by.
I think the idea of a conspiracy within the realm of that governments and big corporations keep secrets from people, and regular people have to band together to find out what they are and overcome a lot of obstacles. There's a long and fine tradition of that in drama. The new thing today, which is so troubling, is with kind of the algorithms and the AI, where you have absolutely artificial reality being created, so that somebody would take a video of this interview that we're doing, and they could literally mouth in anything that they want our lips to be saying. And there's some people who take that as reality. And that's a kind of, that's that conspiracy world that I think is really just pure evil.